So it's my honor and pleasure to introduce His Grace Madhava Gopinath Prabhu. He's a technology leader, scholar of Indian knowledge systems, and active preacher within ISKCON. Professionally, he serves as a global delivery director for Infosys with over 25 years of global IT experience, leading large international teams and delivering enterprise technology solutions worldwide. Academically, he is an alumni of BITS Pilani and holds multiple postgraduate degrees in Jyotish, Vedanta, and Purna Itihasa, along with a PhD in Sanskrit from Karnataka Sanskrit University, where his research focused on the Bhagavata Purana commentarial tradition. He is also the author of the widely appreciated book Gita in a Nutshell. Inspired by Srila Prabhupada, he serves as the convener of ISKCON Rampali in Hyderabad and a core committee member of the ISKCON Bharat Outreach Ministry, and has delivered over 5,000 scriptural discourses in English and Telugu. He is also the founder and director of Shastra Nidhi, a digital humanities initiative dedicated to preserving Sanskrit scriptures, whose flagship project, Purana Tilakam, has become the world's largest digital archive of the Bhagavata Purana and its commentarial tradition. And also, of course, most importantly, he is an alumni of the GBC College, so from the previous year, and he has gracefully agreed to share his knowledge, deep knowledge and understanding in this field of religious movements with all of us. So thank you very much, Prabhu. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hope you are all able to hear me. Can I share my screen? Do I have access?
Yes, Prabhu, you do.
Share. Okay. Are you able to see?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can I start now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. Mao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Gitali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswati Nirve Gauravachari Nirvishesha Shunyamati Paschatya Dista Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. I am very grateful to His Grace Balakrishna Prabhu and His Grace Rupanuga Prabhu and Vipin Vihari Prabhu and Mataji. We have received wonderful training as part of GBC College and great support throughout 18 to 20 months almost. And towards the end, Rupanuga Prabhu requested whether I can take any particular course or which course you would like to take. I thought that this course, Religious Movements, I will volunteer because I thought we can do it slightly differently. So I got this opportunity to serve all of you, the GBC College students. Thank you very much. It's quite simple. This is really not a philosophy course. From the different religious movements we discuss, like this is the outline. It's already shared with you. There are a few changes. Please, I will circulate the latest PPT after the class. Don't refer to the previous ones. Once the class is over, just follow this. So there are 8 modules. We will cover in 4 weeks. So 4 Tuesdays, starting from today. Module 1 and Module 2. Module 1, we have foundations of religious movement. What are how religious movements start and how they shape up and grow and so on. Module 2, the ancient and classical traditions and the Sanatan Dharma, Christianity and Islam and so on. And Module 3, we are talking about medieval and pre-modern religious systems. Module 4, we are talking about modern religious systems, 19th and 20th century. And Module 5 is the contemporary trends. And Module 6, the 10 sociological propositions, why movements succeed or fail in detail, that we'll discuss. And 7 and 8, comparative lessons across history and emerging threats facing religious movements. These are the 8 modules we'll discuss. The assignments are also going to be simple, like an objective type questions. Yeah, you really don't have to write essays. So, module 1 is the foundations of religious movements. What is the religious movement? What counts as a religious movement is that some beliefs, power structures, sociological traits, and what makes movements rise and spread, authoritative, charismatic leaders, social needs from the crisis, from the cultural drifts. So there are different patterns across civilizations, how various religious ideas form religious movements. Before we start, what did Srila Prabhupada say about ISKCON? He said this is genuine. Krishna consciousness movement is genuine cultural and religious movement. This should be taken from all prominent persons and sent there. On the copies of the standing order for all the universities. So he wanted this should go, that Krishna consciousness is a bona fide religious movement. This should reach all the prominent persons. He wanted them to attest, and also that copy should be circulated all over the world in all the universities and other places. Therefore, we have started this Krishna conscious movement to educate people in the essential principles of spiritual life. It is not a sectarian religious movement. It is a cultural movement for everyone's benefit. Generally, many times religious movements, like Srila Prabhupada said them, they're sectarian and without proper direction. And sometimes we use the word hodgepodge also. But Krishna consciousness movement, our ISKCON, is a real religious movement, and it's non-sectarian because no bar, caste, creed, and all other types of criteria. It's open for all. One other place, Srila Prabhupada said. So our request is that this movement, at least it has come to your country in South Africa. Anybody from South Africa here? Maybe
Yes,
none.
bro.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
bro.
What's your name, Prabhu?
Vaishnav Pran.
Oh,
Bro.
Vaishnav Pran Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, and you are welcome. So try to understand this moment, how much it is important. It is not a sentimental moment, neither a so-called. It is actually religious moment, but not so-called religious moment. Simply some sentiments and formalities. Many times religious movements, simply sentiment and sectarian. He's saying our movement is not like that. No, it is practical application in life. And you see practically how by this movement all over the world, different section of people from different nationality, different religious group, isn't it? Different religious group, they are feeling oneness in Krishna consciousness. Just try to see the potency of the moment. So take it very seriously, and you have to take it seriously. 3 times. Anything that is said 3 times, Srila Prabhupada said that has to take that we have to take that very seriously because there is a repetition. And here, what Srila Prabhupada is saying that take this Krishna conscious moment very seriously. So, what counts as a religious movement? We have discussed briefly, and different groups, different movements are there. They have different beliefs, practices, values, and ethics, morals, and doctrines, and practices, and communities. So, religious movement refers to group of individuals organized around shared spiritual belief. And sociologists typically view religious movements as a dynamic social formations, and they range from small emerging groups centered around a charismatic leader to large, well-organized global traditions. How big? In 2000 years, note this point, in 2000 years, Christianity made 2.3 billion people. Practically 1 in 3 in this world is a Christian. Yeah. So in first century, they were just like a home-based Bhakti Vriksha group, like prosecuted in Roman Empire, doing simply home programs. But today, 30, 31, 32%, almost one third of the world population are Christians. So it's religious movement from the sociological perspective. It's a collective effort aimed at promoting, preserving, or transforming religious beliefs. A community with shared interpretation and inspiration, and organized attempt to respond to spiritual, social, and cultural needs. And there are also nowadays scholars use called new religious movements. Sometimes they consider ISKCON as a new religious movement. But it's in one sense, it's not really new because we were part of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, the Gaudiya Math movement, and we have the same practices. However, because it's a new organization started in a different place, sometimes it's counted as a NRM, new religious movement. So there are some sociological traits. If we study carefully various religious groups or movements, there are few things, like 5 things I've written here, they stand across their authority, leadership, the acharya, the teacher, the founder acharya, and his vision. So this is one thing very important, right? And the community formation, like an association, staying together, doing things together, celebrating together, practicing together, and studying the scriptures together. So there is a community and living together. There's a community formation and shared practices and rituals like prayer, meditation, chanting, festivals, and other things. And ethical life, dharmic, moral, and lifestyle codes, the way we dress, what eat, social conduct, how we address each other, like that. These are common, like we may call each other Prabhu, someone else calls something brother, sister, whatever. So certain things are there. Then transmission of knowledge. This is there in all the religious movement. Really, whoever transmitted the knowledge, those religious movements or systems stayed and others vanished. Like this is one of the trait, but those who practice this, they stayed. Even though they had a charismatic leader, they had a community feeling, and they have shared practices, high ethics, the knowledge is not transmitted, they're gone to oblivion in the history. We'll talk about it. So each of the religious movements have doctrines. Sometimes they're also called worldviews and schools of thoughts. Like we'll say, what is a school of thought? Everybody had to answer some basic question. A doctrine of the world or cosmology, explain the universe, creation, nature, whether the universe is, the world is real and unreal, and how it is real, and about the nature, everything around. This is the doctrine of Prakriti, if we have to tell in our Gaudiya language, doctrine of Prakriti. Yeah. And next is the doctrine of God, theology or ultimate reality, concept of God, where there's one God, many gods, and God as supreme controller, supreme proprietor, and theology basically. And anthropology, views about human nature and purpose of life. This is the doctrine of Jiva, Jiva Tattva, Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Karma, Kala, all that we read in Bhagavad Gita. Of course, different, the generic names I have given because this course, I really wanted to keep it as you can say like no institution neutral, so that we'll be able to study them in their own common terminology. And ethical vision. This is the practices like no moral values, principles, and so they are often expressed through scriptures, doctrines, philosophical teachings. Yeah, Guru Sadhu Shastra, basically, Acharya, the books, and also the saints, prophets, rishis, like that. These are common for everybody. Of course, the theory may be different, but every religion generally tend to answer these things: Jiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, Prakriti, Karma, Kala, Dharma, and other practices, and also concept of liberation. It is called soteriology. Yeah. How one gets now people are born, how one gets liberated, like get salvation and perfection. That is also they have to give. Uh, all religious movements give it in one or other fashion through their teachings. Yeah, we are not studying that into deep. The what is common of the religious movements is what we are trying to get into that. And also religious movements as power structures and organization. Like in ISKCON, we have there two kinds of authoritative system. The spiritual authority system, yeah, and also the institutional authority. Like now we have the gurus and the GBC and whatever in India you call bureau and other groups are there. They are institutional authority. And also we say scriptural or doctrinal authority, sadhu and shastra, and the succession mechanism, like the parampara we call, and empowering the next generation, just like this GPC college. The entire thing is started because of the succession planning by our great leaders. How we have to do succession planning. So every organization will have these things. Though there is some structure, there is some planning, there are some doctrines, but the religious movements in general are very, very dynamic. Yeah. So they addressed problems based on time, place, and circumstances, evolved. Like, sometimes there is an initial articulation, but there is a new vision or a reform or exceptions. We see that Srila Prabhupada, there was no concept of brahmacharini ashram, but Srila Prabhupada felt the need because women have to be protected. Shastra says by father in childhood, husband in youth, and children, sons in the old age. But he thought that some of them do not have any of these people, so he did this like that. There are many examples like that even in our own movement we study. And growth and mobilization, there are different things like building institutions, having courses, and also one statement of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur I want to say here. He said that organization, he said, is a necessary evil. To grow big, you have to have an organization or institutionalization set up. But he did call it as evil because we'll face some problems also. But at the time for growth, it is definitely required. And then transformation or decline. This happens because of the fragmentation, and then by not following the core original principles, are too much getting into secularization or other things, they might also declare. So they're very dynamic in nature. So I'll stop here. If anyone has any questions so far what we have discussed, you can unmute and we can talk about it. Anyone want to add a point or this thing?
Prabhuji,
Yep.
can I?
Yes, please. What's your name, Prabhu? I'm not able to see.
Achyut Mohan Das.
Achyut Mohan Das. Yes, Prabhu. Achyut Mohan Das, Prabhu from Varanasi.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, wonderful. We are friends.
Happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I don't know whether you're going to talk about this, so maybe I'm asking a question out of line, but I just have this thought. So, Prabhuji, some few years back, I had met Vellukudi Krishnan Prabhu. You know him, right?
Yes. I know him, Vellupudi Krishnan.
Yeah,
He is a Sri Vaishnava scholar, preacher. Yes.
right, right. So he is very influential among Sri Vaishnavas.
Yes.
So why we had met him was because I'd been trying to meet him for quite some time, and he was in Srirangam that time, and we happened to be there in Yatra, and then we met him for a good couple of hours, and we requested him that Prabhuji, so many Sri Vaishnava families coming from such great lineage, good culture, and their next generation are walking away from the path of devotion, even from the path of dharma, what to say of devotion. So, and he also accepted. He said that some out of some 45 or 54 different lines within the Sri Sampradaya, he said only 14 are remaining now. Others are like vilupt, gone. So,
Okay.
so we were requesting him that we were first of all asking him that, how will you answer next generation that you guys saw all this degradation happening and then you didn't do anything. And Ramanuja gave such a great religious movement, and I asked him the average age of his audience, and he said 59 plus. That means like above retirement. And we asked him that, Prabhuji, if you make a call to all the youths of the next generation youths of the Sri Vaishnava families, then they will easily come forward, send their sons for some training, or maybe online or something. But something can be started, and we can facilitate, and you can give training. He said, no, no, this is all unnecessary headache. Who will take all this headache for all the youths? And he said, I know you ISKCON people are too much into youths, and that I appreciate. But he said, I don't know whether our sampradaya will actually flourish through this. So we were asking him, Prabhuji, you should, like, how will you answer the next generation when they will question tomorrow that, Prabhu, uh, you guys had the opportunity to save your religious movement, but then you kept it, let it getting drowned, and government is taking over so many of your temples. So he said, no, I'll think. And he understood, but he said, no, I don't want to take the trouble. He clearly said, I don't want to take the trouble. So, Prabhuji, we see that my question essentially is, we see that even religious movements which are so authentic, started by such great personalities such as Sri Ramanuja himself, and this is the status. So, how do we understand that even like true movements are Prabhuji going through this? I don't know whether you're going to discuss this, but I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, this will definitely come in the module 6. We will discuss in detail, but in short, yes, um, the youth preaching and having the succession planning, giving knowledge and practice to the next generation is very important. And Srila Prabhupada actually was looking for youth always to give them knowledge, and also for children he started the Gurukula system in Dallas. And then also we see that even in India, like now many great youth preachers like Achyut Mohan Prabhu, they are actually um, bringing many new talented youth and then giving them Krishna consciousness. Even in IITs and IIMs, the prestigious institutes in India, we have like we get many students. Some of you might not have noticed, but I'm also from a college in India which is in top 10. That's BITS Pilani. So I got introduced to Krishna consciousness by Leela Purushottam Prabhu. Now he's the director of IIT Mandi through one youth program that is organized. Yes. So this is important. If you see Ramanuja tradition and Madhva tradition, you still see like Madhva tradition is great intact, though they might not be growing in terms of numbers because
Mhm.
they have some restrictions. They are only in the Brahminical world, but still you see that even today people cook on charcoal, even they do daily yajna. There is so many practices, and they live generally as a community, and all their lines are still active. All the mathas and all the preaching lines, everything is still going on. So this is great appreciation for their system and practices and the methods they are doing it. We have to learn from every religious system. We have lessons, that is the ninth module, and we also see the threads and other things in the future modules. Let me move on. Anybody else has any other point before we move on? Okay.
I think I can see David raised. Oh, he just put his hand down. Okay.
What is that, Prabhu?
So someone raised a hand, but they put it down already. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
that's
Yes,
okay.
if I can, I would love to ask the
Yeah,
question.
please, Prabhu. What's your name?
Bhakta David. And first of all, thank you for this fascinating talk. In terms of the history and sociology of contemporary religions, it seems that there's a trend towards repositioning or reconceptualizing religions as sort of self-optimization tools or technologies. So for instance, in Buddhism, rather than a liberation-focused path, it can be broken down into particular techniques that help one to live as effectively or efficiently as possible within the material world. You can think of like transcendental meditation also has taken that approach, that to sort of de-religion religions and reconceptualize them as techniques. And you can see Jay Shetty, for instance, former or maybe sometimes current Hare Krishna monk, or not monk anymore, but who also tries to reposition aspects of the Sanatan Dharma as self-optimization techniques. So I'm wondering, my assumption or my intuition is that actually our movement is uniquely unsuited to this strategy, that we're not, it would corrupt the message of our teachings to try to present Srila Prabhupada's mission as a self-optimization technology, because it's ultimately saying, here, the material world's fine, just find ways to be more effective in the material world. But I'm curious if, first of all, if my assumption, you think it's a correct one, and if it's more, if there's a more nuanced response where some aspect of this technologization of practice would actually be appropriate for this movement, or am I right that it's actually against the grain of what Srila Prabhupada was trying to teach?
Yeah, self-optimization or technologization of the movement. Is it required based on the current trend? We will discuss that in the modern day trends and the digital religions. Yes, Srila Prabhupada is innovative. He is not a person who would do a stereotyped way of doing things. We see him very, very dynamic. At the same time, he adhered to the basic principles without for example, we wouldn't say it's okay, you drink some coffee and tea and fine, that's all right, we can accommodate you. That's not the thing. Without violate, he did not break the principles, but yes, he was ready to learn from anything and everything to expand the preaching. So we'll get to this discussion in the future module. We have a module for the neo-modern religions. So at the time we will discuss about technologization. For now, I'll move on. Okay. Right. So why religious movements rise and spread? Primarily because of the spiritual vision, also social conditions. Many have evolved because of social condition and cultural circumstances. These things create fertile ground for new religious movements. Yeah. And one of the first thing again we discussed is that the Acharya or the charismatic founder leader, and often they are very knowledgeable, exemplary personal conduct, both achar and prachar we say, and they can attract trust and devotion of the followers, and also powerful teachings based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra in our language, and spiritual practices. We have many examples. Of course, I'm not equating all of them in the same level or anything like that. Please don't feel this course is not a philosophy class. This is studying the various religious movements, and what we can learn from them and what kind of threats they faced, so that we will be prepared to take this as it's a global movement now, but will make sure that majority will become Krishna conscious devotees. So don't read this philosophically. Here, great personalities, I mean, that who have started the religious movements: Buddha, Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. As I told, the same, it's not new, but Prabhupada also said that, yeah, it's a old wine in new bottle, whatever I am giving. Yeah. So the same Sankirtan message of Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada presented to the Western world in a language that they can understand, and in how and the way they can adopt. Yeah, that's what I mean, that charismatic leadership, and was able to answer all the questions. I remember one question, standard question people used to ask, and Prabhupada was not aware of the question. So one question was asked to Prabhupada, can God create a stone which he himself cannot lift? Okay, can God create a stone which he himself cannot lift? If you say yes, what kind of a God is he? He cannot lift a stone. If you say no, what kind of a God is he? He cannot even create a stone. So either way, people are cut. Many religions do not answer this question. Prabhupada never heard this question, but spontaneously answered, yes, Krishna creates, Balram lifts, they are one and the same. So they profound questions that are posed, and he answered perfect questions, perfect answer about life and about everything, about God, about creation, and we see that. And what is the why religious movements is another thing, social needs. Yeah, deep social and psychological need, because intrinsically by design, the jiva, a human being, like jiva, is happy only if he is searching for the higher truth. So there's a strong sense of community and belonging, and moral ethical framework, personal conduct, spiritual practices, and hope and meaning beyond their material life. It is there. Then only, we see that great rise for the religious movement in Bhakti traditions in India in the 15th century. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. We see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inundated entire India, from north, south, and all west, east, everywhere, with Krishna consciousness. And we see that the Bhakti movement is at the peak in that time, and times followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And social and political crisis, whenever there is a political crisis or social instability, also religions rise. Yeah, the Buddhism, for example, during the time of, actually, the great promoter of Buddhism in India is one of them is Ashoka. He's a grandson of Chandragupta, and he is a Jain. And Buddha adopted this thing because after the war he felt he should get into non-violence, and so social and political crisis often lead to a promotion of a religious movement or creation of religious movement, and cultural drift and dissatisfaction within established issues. Sometimes this is also the reason we see one mutt becomes multiple mutts. There are so many mutts in India, and everywhere there are multiple branches. You see, for example, even in the great Madhava Parampara, there was a Vyasarai mutt. Later that Vyasarai mutt is branched into this Raghavendra Swami mutt, and other mutts are also there. Like that, even we actually belong to the Uttaradi Mutt. I'm sorry, Uttaradi Mutt is branched to Vyasarai Mutt and Raghavendra Swami Mutt. If we trace back our tradition, our parampara, we come from Vyasarai Mutt. Also, we see like that Gaudiya Mutt is a new Gaudiya initiate, and even ISKCON is actually a new religious movement. But one point of time, we know how humbly Srila Prabhupada was staying in a Gaudiya Mutt. He had to write a letter that for him to go out and preach and do other things, he needed two kurtas, because he was wearing torn clothes. So And often, people forget the purpose of their founder. And Srila Prabhupada also said that my Guru Maharaj gave instruction that no one single Acharya, there should be a GBC that is not adopted by some of my God brothers. That's why, there were so many groups and so many factions, and there is a cultural drift in the Gaudiya Mutt community. So cultural drift and dissatisfaction with the established institution also lead to new religious movements, yeah, and accessibility of teachings. These also cause this thing. If we go, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled throughout in India, and we see that though, initially all the Gaudiya literature, even the Sanskrit literature is actually written in Bengali script. Even now, if you see manuscripts, all are like that. But later you see in Odisha, that's in Odia language, and all the vernacular languages also he have songs. Even in South India and from there were songs in Telugu about Mahaprabhu. It's not a Gaudiya Mutt or ISKCON literature. These were there. So using vernacular languages instead of the ancient Sanskrit and other languages also makes the teachings available. Many times Prabhupada was appreciating the Narottam Das Thakur songs. He said that with 1 paisa one can get self-realization. He meant that by singing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, we get the Gaudiya philosophy very easily. Like that, in throughout India, we have many great saints. They have preached in vernacular languages, so made those teachings available. Tukaram is one in the West, and like that we have many singers, Tyagaraja, Annamaya in South India, like that, and Ramdas and many others. Yeah, and networks and communication. This is very important for the saints and preachers going around and doing this thing. So we are classic example of a global, a movement now, how Srila Prabhupada traveled the globe, across the globe 13 times, and he established temples and preaching everywhere. So the traveling preachers, teachers, missionaries going on for world tour. And anciently also the religion spread from one place to other place through trade networks. They were going there and doing this. That's how we got East India Company here. And also Christianity spread, and also the Silk Route. We also got many other religions into India, and also through invasions, of course. So network and communication. And in modern times, movement will spread through books, media, educational institutions, and digital platforms. This is Srila Prabhupada's miracle, that the book distribution. Because of that, we also became world famous organization. Institutional organization. And it's not just having a great founder and also having some great literature. You also need institutional organization. Srila Prabhupada, because he studied the Gaudiya Mutt Institute and the Ramakrishna Mutt and other world-class religious movements carefully. That's why he established this GBC, the Group of Governing Body Commission, group of devotees, the senior devotees, sannyasis and grihasthas and others. So he created this organized system of administration, training and succession. Because of that, today, ISKCON became the biggest representative of the Gaudiya branch. Recently, the Home Minister of India had come to Mayapur, and he met a few thousand brahmacharis and sannyasis and other devotees. Majority of them are from ISKCON. Then he was addressing and glorifying Srila Prabhupada and this thing, how great institutional organization we have. And also definitely educational institutions. Srila Prabhupada initially focused on establishing temples and books. Later, he also institutionalized the Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava and other programs, and gradual training in various levels. Yeah. So these are all an institutional organization. And another point is patterns across civilizations. Yeah. So we study some patterns throughout the history. Religious movements have not emerged in isolation, not just like that. There is a social, cultural, political, and intellectual factors in the environments that were the reason to generate and accepting it, challenges and transforming religious ideas. And these are very much there. And incubation of religious ideas, yes, time to time. Um, how to address this thing in the current situation? What are the time, place, and circumstances? How to do various things based on the um, where the world is going and how to do. And social inequalities or moral dissatisfaction also prompted this thing. Even now, in some of the great paramparas that we have, they do not have true social equality. Still, there is a gradation based on their caste, based on the birth. But the scriptures say that it's not by birth, but by quality and work, guna and karma, one has to do. So these also prompted, we see great saints like Kanakadas and Purandardas. They were Nama Sankirtana champions. They also showed that how simply by singing the glories of the Supreme Lord, how anybody, despite their caste, creed, religion, gender, and other things, can attain the Supreme Lord. So adoption by society. Yeah, there are new religious ideas, but then how like society can adopt? Because the teaching should be clear, accessible, and relevant. Like it's many of the religions now, some of the prominent religions are suffering this exclusivism and jihadi mentality because they're not, their ideas is not socially relevant. That anybody who's not from my group, my religion, let them die. So this is not going to work. So it should be socially relevant, accessible practices, and more important, clear structural spiritual teachings. So several factors that encourage adoption are alignment with existing cultural values. Yeah, a tradition, a culture, this thing is there. And support from influential social groups, because all kinds of things, there are Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, from everybody. We should take this thing, and merchants, scholars, and political leaders. Practical spiritual practices. It's not just festival time and weekend groups. It's daily practice of things that was mentioned, and effective communication and local languages. And for instance, here said the Bhakti movement in India. Bhakti movement, when I say, I'm using the generic term because it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood and mission. That's what actually spread across all over India. He inspired actually many Nama Sankirtana leader later, many like Tukaram and many others who have come after him. And it spread all over India and now all over the world. So there are also resistance to new religious ideas. Yeah. So there is resistance comes because established religious institutions, they'll fear of loss of influence, and political authorities sometimes stop these things. And cultural conservatism, some of them try to say, no, I don't want to. This is not we do not want to go to some new religious group. So even though they lack the necessary spiritual training, they lack the community bonding, still they do not want to do it. There are these are the resistance things to new religious groups and movements. And reform and adoption. Reform may involve reinterpreting scriptures. This is what the Prabhu is telling. That he was asking the question about here technologization and also new way of looking at some of the scriptural statements as well as interpretations, and simplifying rituals. For example, if you have to follow the traditional Indian system, many hours would go in the daily practices, even doing the daily rituals, morning moon and evening call Sandhya Vandana. But Srila Prabhupada, in the form of a morning program, actually has put everything that is required for together. Yeah, so this is in one sense simplifying the various rituals. And also, if you carefully see in our morning program and the way we follow most of the 64 items of devotional service, including the most important five, like now how cleverly had put the whole thing together and integrating knowledge um, in and also putting it together, making it very simple. Srila Prabhupada circulated this Back to Godhead magazine and writing a very complicated concepts like Achintya Veda in a very simple and easily understandable form. Yeah. Institutionalization and cultural integration. When a religious movement becomes widely accepted, often develops stable institution, educational system and leadership structures. ISKCON is an example. Temple, monasteries, or churches and other institutions. This may include development of formal theological system and scriptures, rituals, festivals and cultural practices. These are all normal. So this is where we completed the module 1. Anybody has any questions and comments we can discuss now before we go to the module 2. So in the module 1, what we have discussed is that basically why religious movement, what is the religious movement, why religious movements appear and how they emerge, and then the social forces that shape them. Any questions, comments at this point of time before we go to the next one? From anyone? Okay, fine. Let me move on. So module 2 we have is ancient and classical traditions. So here we are only talking about the Sanatan Dharma tradition and also the Dharmic tradition, not exactly Vedic, because there is not clear concept of God, the Jainism and Buddhism, and some of the later not so popular Hindu movements. And Abrahamic religion, when I meant Abrahamic religion, Judaism, early Christianity, early Islam. I chose to use this early Christianity, early Islam because in the beginning they were different. They were a small group, either Christianity or Islam. Christianity in the 1st century and Islam in the 7th century. But they started, as I said, as a Bhakti Vriksha group in the Middle East. That's how they started. But they became a global organizations later, very small origin, but global spirit. So I was just talking about those. And of course, later they had also different branches, different groups and sects within Eastern and Western Christianity and so on. And also East Asian schools from China and Japan, Confucianism, Taoism and Shintoism. See, these Shintoism and Tao, this thing, they do not have so many followers now because we'll get into the details, but they do not have any clear-cut spiritual practice on a daily basis, except following some dharmic principles and then having some celebration and having some national or local feeling, but they do not have. So the dharmic traditions of India represent oldest and most continuous stream of religious thoughts. For everything, you can put a date. You can give a date for Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, Islam, every other religious system except the Vedic tradition. Nobody can give a date. That's why we say that Vedas are eternal, and this is not a religion started by some XYZ. There is no one founder. Adharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. This is directly actually told and started by the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Of course, in this class, I'm not preaching. I'm trying to put a lot of things from the historian's perspective of even studying Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma. Yeah. So early Vedic tradition, see, historians give data. I'm not giving. I believe, like all of you, I am also a devotee. I'm trying to become a devotee, and I believe that Vedic religion and Sanatan Dharma is eternal. Mahabharata, we have references. that Esha Dharma Sanatanaha. But however, I'm putting a date here just to show, even if you go compare like that, with putting some dates, still it is the oldest. It is the oldest. And what are some of the key things? Even today, there are the same practice, the same ritual, same yajna, and worshipping the devatas, Agni, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Soma, and this thing. The same mantras, the same procedure, the same way the Brahmins, like, they recite, they do this thing. So, a worldview emphasizing relation between the humans and the devatas, the administrative representatives of the Supreme Lord, and the nature, and ultimately the Supreme Lord that is there. So in the Upanishads, we clearly see, like, the concepts of Atma, Brahma, Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Karma, Kala, and all these things. More about Jiva and Ishvara in the Upanishads. So this is the Sanatana Dharma, Vedic religion. Even today, even since there were uh, there were so many attacks, not just invasions, not just mass conversions, not just mass killings or assassinations, different ways, it was done. At this Sanatan Dharma is sustained. That is why it is the very Dharma is Sanatan in India. One son of a minister, who chief minister, is also a minister, a fool. He was telling that Sanatan Dharma is disease, contagious disease. We should we should we should uh, we should eliminate. We should get rid of this Sanatan Dharma. I made a statement like that. Of course, many responded. But one thing I'll tell you, I'm living in a village, and we started slowly after staying in this village. I'm trying to seeing, so many broken things. Sometimes we see some deities are broken. Sometimes we see, some other pots and other kinds of instruments broken all around. Then slowly we understood that there was a attack here and everything was destroyed. Then, of course, with the help of many other people, we came to know that some 700 years back, one overnight, this whole place is destroyed by one of the Golconda Muslim Sultanate. But is it an end? Many years is gone. This place, nothing was there, and almost after 700 years, even in this place where we say everybody is nearby converted into different religions, even those who are not converted, they also became atheistic. In a village next to us, of course, we call ourselves as a village now, because actually this is also part of the existing village. Not even a single person goes to pray for God and even light a lamp in their home. But after so many years, I see, devotees are coming and staying here now. All these villages around, there is so much of chanting and other things are going on. That itself is a proof that the earliest, oldest Sanatan Dharma is still prevalent and intact despite the attacks and invasions. Buddhism and Jainism, we know that, in 6th century, of course, in the philosophy, there are different two Buddhas. We have that, the Siddhartha Buddha, and also the Buddha, the Vishnu avatar. I'm not getting into the details, but yes, they have, he taught the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And in Jainism also, we have similarly many Tirthankaras, the saints. 24th one is Mahavira. Primarily, they do, practice non-violence toward all living entities. All living entities, not only human beings. They always put, you see, we were wearing this, what is it called? In COVID, everybody is having a, yeah, we are covering our mouth. Mask. Yeah, like that. They have a mask throughout because they thought that small insects will enter and they might cause violence to them. That's why they have, even the vegetables like aloo, potato, and all, they don't eat, because if you dig earth while digging, some animals, some insects might die. So that kind of a non-violence dharmic principles they followed Jainism. Yeah. So we also have later, like no, there's nothing like later Hindu movements. The same Vedic philosophy that I'm using this language again. I gave the references at the end. Some of the Western authors studying the whole thing. I took the nomenclature so that we study them in an institution neutral way and take points on whatever we can learn. One second. నేను క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నాను తర్వాత వస్తాను చెప్పి క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నాను ఓకే క్యారీ ఓకే so this later Hindu movements, I say like the Bhakti movements based on the Puranic tradition, also the Darshana schools, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Uttar Mimamsa, and Vedanta and Purva Mimamsa. The Darshanas basically, these are also all of them. We see like still in India you find people practicing. And especially the Bhakti movement, most popular, simple singing going on, practicing daily practices, and also the festivals, pilgrimages, pilgrimages, and also having an emotional bonding with the Supreme Lord that we still see. So, what are the lessons? We'll discuss in detail later, but adaptability and flexibility. Like even today, we see that they're adaptable and that is there. And philosophical depth, any question can be answered. That is nowhere to be found, actually. Any question can be asked. And a decentralized structure, it's not like that my way or highway. In Sanatan Dharma, there are Vaishnavas, there are Shaktas, there are Ganapatyas, and like you see, like and within everything, there are multiple lineages, paramparas, teachers, institutes, but still on a broad spectrum, it's one even today. Yeah. Even the Hare Krishna Mahamantra we are chanting, that's not created by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's not created by any of the acharyas. That is there in the same Vedic scriptures in the Kalisantarana Upanishad, and you also see in the Agni Purana, and you also see that in some of the other places. Yeah. So what were the threats and challenges? Like some traditions, there is a loss of continuity. And there is a fragmentation, there is external misrepresentation. These are there. We see even in some sects of Sanatana Dharma. Just giving a picture here that in the world of religions, you see 2.3 billion people are following Christianity, 2 billion people following Islam. Both of them put together 33% and 21%, that is 54%. Like 54%, that means more than half of the world population are practicing these two religions. And Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, 1.2 billion people. Buddhism, though it is driven out from the borders of India, still 500 million, by Shankaracharya, of course. Yeah, 500 million people practice. And you also see like even Sikhism, 30 million people, and the Chinese religions. If you see like China have a bigger population than India, China and Japan together. Of course, now India is probably the number one, but till recently. But still, you see, not everybody is following one kind of religion. This Confucianism, Taoism, and all, their number is less. This is the map. Yeah. And Abrahamic religions literally means born in desert or something like that. So Judaism, the Jews, the Israel people, we see like they have a strong community bonding. In fact, they were completely destroyed at some point of time. They have no place to stay, and this thing they have survived. And you now also see that simultaneously they fight with multiple countries and multiple this thing, and they established themselves. And they believe monotheism and law and ethics and community identity. This is one of the greatest lessons we can learn. This thing being a minority religion, but we can do this thing. And also even our movement, we have some of the great ISKCON contemporary acharyas have come from this faith. And early Christianity, faith in salvation through Christ, moral transformation, communal worship. And one most important thing we have to learn, this is missionary activity. Look at this map, look at this map. In 2000 years, they have become 2.3 billion. Yeah, a new, relatively new creation, but they have reached out. Yeah, see that blue color, like practically the whole world. Yeah, India, it's shown as this thing, but in my hometown, like in my childhood, there was not even a single church. Nobody would go to a church, but in there now, actually now there is a church in a small village. Also, there are multiple churches. That's why actually we have abandoned the village, and at some point of time we have moved out. That's how it is. I'm talking about my maternal grandfather's place. That's how it is, and also our village even now, and the town and the district. Day by day, these activities are growing in Andhra. So Abrahamic religion, we talked about Christianity and early Islam. Yeah. They also believe strict monotheism, prophetic guidance, submission to divine will, and community. This community life, we can also learn from this particular religious movement of Islam, because wherever they stay in community. I was going on a road some time back to a city, Hyderabad, and there was a person going on bike, a person going in a car hit a person going on bike. That fellow got injured, and the car driver took him to the hospital, and that's where we were there in the hospital for something else. Then this person was brought. The driver who brought, he was the car driver was Muslim faith, because he made that accident, so he took responsibility. Then after that, of course, he was trying to somehow deal the case without going to the police, because there is some damage to the bike, there is some injuries to this person, he has a fracture, and then this thing, and there is halal. You know what? As soon as he came inside, with this thing, some argument between that person's friends afterwards, or parents came with this person. 30 people came there. They are not actually his relatives, not his friends knew, but they're from his community, Islam. They came, they were together, and they were trying to support and have a settlement. This person gave some money and gave some food to him, and they have some negotiation. And this community life and community feeling, this is the greatest lesson that we have to learn from Islam. And strong textual canon, it is there. Community discipline, identity, missionary zeal and expansion, because they are no less. They're more new religious group compared to the Christianity, but they have also pretty much number two. And it is expected that by 2035 or something like that, this will cross the Christianity number. Despite the challenges, despite the sanctions. And one thing that they follow is that having as many children as possible. And that's what is the Vedic culture too. There is threats and challenges, is that sectarian splintering is also there here. Over time, there's Sunni, Shias, and this and that is there. And politicization of religion is also there. We saw Iran problem is that religion is mixed with politics, and we know what happened. I don't want to get into the details. And most important threat is exclusive tendency. That my way or highway, don't believe, you are not kafir, I should kill or I should eliminate. These kind of tendencies are also coming from somewhere here. And of course, there are East Asian schools, Confucianism, Taoism, and Shintoism, and from China and Japan. They preach compassion, moral concerns, pretty much like Buddhism, but in a refined manner, and more local context in local languages. Proper conduct in social and ceremonial life, and all this stuff. And they're in the path of decline, because there is no strong. There is a philosophical foundation, but there is no proper preaching. In these religions, Taoism also same thing. They have harmony with nature. Inner cultivation, some practices are there, like breathing practices and some meditation techniques and all. But again, not many people really following it. Of course, it's already end up as a secular thing, like for practicing martial arts, and then some medicines for cancer and other things, and things like that, environmental friendly living and eco living and whatever. They have actually become more of a like social, I would say, like environmental and health care movements than real religious movements. Shintoism is also one such things. Yeah. They see like sacredness in mountains, rivers, and forests, like some kind of anthropomorphism. Of course, in Vedic context, we also accept that all the rivers and all the mountains and everything are persons. And they respect ancestrals, and they stop there. Not really. They have some festivals and so on. Yeah, the lessons is yes, models of social harmony, like there's no caste system really, like everybody can be accommodated. There's an ethical, dharmic life, yeah, integration with the state and culture, and all kinds of things that is there. But the threat is over secularization, doing too many compromises, forget the original thing. It has become at some point of time ethical, then it has become only healthier now, like only some special rare arts, like they are known only for that much, and culturalization through modernity. Of course, globalization, urbanization, and other things are also there, but at the same time, not caring for the teaching of their founders and not following strictly daily projects, daily practices, and not having the missionary spirit, they have lost. So some of the things I spoke from Srila Prabhupada's teaching from his books, and other things I have chosen to use academic resources, mostly the Western authors, because to give a institution neutral flavor here to everybody, and study them, basically learn from them what we can implement in our preaching, how we can grow our ISKCON movement, and what are the threats they faced, and how we should counter those threats, and how to protect our system, and what kind of things we have to do. That was the idea, not really giving their doctrine of Jiva, their doctrine of Ishvara, and that kind of a things. One last thing, Srila Prabhupada said, is a peculiarity of ISKCON is that we have no other business than Krishna's business. That is the peculiarity of this movement. Even if you take it as a religious movement, there is no religious movement in the whole world which has got 24 hours engagement. You will never find. The Christians go to the church once in a week for 1 hour, then closed. That is also not very regularly. Even if you take our engagement 24 hours, Zoom conversation with a minister in Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, I'll stop here. Om Tat Sat. And once again, I would love to actually speak on Bhagavatam, but this topic is I have taken like this because last time I thought that it can be taught little differently, and it is very very essential for all the leaders to understand how other faiths and other religious groups and the sects in those groups, how they work, how they started, how they emerged, what challenges, what this thing they're facing. So there is a hand raised by Vaikunta Raman Prabhu. Please, Prabhu, which place are you from?
Prabhu, I'm from ISKCON Mira Road.
ISKCON Bengaluru.
Mira Road, Mumbai.
Mumbai Mira Road. Wonderful.
So, Prabhu, my question is a little mixed. When in ISKCON, we've been told there is something called authorized religion and unauthorized, non-authorized religion.
Mhm.
Okay. And you know, uh, then distinction is made like authorized religion should have a parampara, and you should, I mean, like even to establish a parampara, we had to have a bhashya. Like that was the initial movement which was there, which was done. So how do you classify within your today, which you talked about this thing, where do you put this authorized and non-authorized relation? Because there are people of Baha'i faith, then there's Mormons, then there's Scientology, uh, you know, and I think there are few others also, I don't remember offhand, which is there. So how do you classify that? I mean, how do you establish, that, like I gave one example, but that's how I understand. Is there something I need to know more further, or explain? Because that's what I, when we talk about with people, different
Yeah.
people, we just hear it.
Okay. See, this class, as I told, it's not a philosophy class, so that we can classify them based on the authority and also authorize them. This class is the religious movements of the world, to study them and to learn from them. So, and if your question, I'll answer briefly. Which religions are authorized? Every religion says that they are the only authorized and they do not accept the authority of others. That is common in all the religions. Yeah. But the Sanatan Dharma have, as I said, why it is unique is its oldest. It is not found by any person, one person. It's not started by any person. And it has unity in diversity. It has answers to all the questions. So I would say that that is the most authorized. But within Sanatan Dharma, there's a diversity. As I told, there are Vaishnavas, there are Shaktas, and within the Vaishnavas, there are four paramparas. Within the parampara, like you have so many different groups and so many different branches. And within the branches and mutts, again, there are so many different groups. And even within ISKCON, we have multiple, groups and sects. Sometimes some temple president says that a new person starts Bhakti Vriksha in near their temple, they will say it's not authorized. Just to say that it's not connected to their temple or whatever way in a formal way. So sometimes we use this authorized in strict institutional sense. But any religion trying to actually lead a dharmic life, trying to lead a dharmic life, it is authorized. Yes, because they are trying to reform themselves and achieve. Some may want to go back to Godhead. Some may just want to lead a dharmic life. Whatever, they have different things. Some want based on in Bhagavad Gita also it is said that based on what people want, they worship different devatas. Some worship Pitrus, some worship different devatas, some worship like no different other heavenly bodies to go to different place. So are they authorized? Yes. Even Vedas authorized everything. Like no Vedas authorized different distinct. So when it is told authorized, we were talking about whether the teachings are intact or not. Yes, for some of them, they have diluted their teachings. They are not, they have secularized and they have forgotten the original teachings. In that sense, they are not authorized. But there is only one God. There is no Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. There is no different God for different religious group. So ultimate purpose of religion is to understand God and love God, and by through that, like to love everybody. In that sense, every religion is authorized. I'll stop here.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Please, let's have some discussion. That's why I really did a little fast the second module, because I thought a discussion in this forum will be helpful, and also answer the questions whatever we have discussed, and just understand different these religious movements and the purpose, and then other basic details. It's just going to be an objective test for you to know, not really to study them or get into their philosophy or comparing and contrasting. That's not what we are trying to do. Yeah.
Dear Prabhu, so maybe one thing, once someone suggested in chat that maybe you can stop sharing screen, then you will
Okay,
see.
how do I see the chat? Yeah.
No, if you can stop sharing screen, just then you will see like
Okay. I'll stop share
each other.
and
And
see the
I
chat.
see there is a
Yes.
hand up by Ashara Krishna Prabhu or
Just give me a
Prabhu.
second. I'll just close the door. I'll just close the door. Sorry, one child opened the door. Sorry about it. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Ashray Krishna Prabhu, where are you from, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I preach in IIT Delhi and ISKCON Srinagar,
IIT.
Uttarakhand also.
Wonderful. IIT Delhi and?
Srinagar, Uttarakhand.
Oh, Srinagar. Wonderful.
We have NIT Srinagar here and Garhwal
Okay.
University. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask, do you know any scholars who have written on these topics of philosophy of religion and comparing and contrasting like Vedic theology and Abrahamic theology, the difference, and
Mm.
especially from point of view of like more inclined to like Sanatan Dharma. So I don't know if you know, there is one person called David Bentley Hart. Have you heard about him, Prabhu?
Yeah, I heard. Yes.
Yeah, so I read his book. One of his book is The Experience of God, Being, Consciousness, and Bliss. So I found it very interesting because he talks about Vedic concepts only, like Satchitanand, but explains it very nicely in English language.
Okay.
So do you know such like scholars who like do such type of comparative and between like Abrahamic religion and Sanatan
Yeah.
Dharma? Or, yeah.
Actually, this idea, it's a very good question. This idea of comparing and contrasting different religions is also there within Sanatan Dharma. Like, we have a book called Sarva Darshana Sangraha. Sarva Darshana Sangraha, that is by one Madhavacharya. He actually takes every darshana, like Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, and compares it with Vedanta. And of course, finally, he takes other Vedanta also and explains the superiority of Advaita Vedanta. And we don't accept that, but yeah, like that. This is there, and also later, we also see many comparing this thing. If I remember, Srila Prabhupada also did multiple times, he would ask people to ask them the questions from different religions, and he would answer. And there are books, I'm not able to recollect the names, but comparing the world religions from the Vedic perspective and how it is. The two standard things that I can remember all the acharyas have taken. One of the Purva Paksha as Buddhism and Jainism and Charvakism. Charvakism is pure materialism. Like beg, borrow, steal, enjoy life. There's no God, no next life, enjoy. That is their philosophy. And Buddhism and Jainism, there are dharmic principles, there are other things, but there's no concept really of God and relationship with God, and all. It's just becoming one kind of getting into voidism. Everybody has taken Buddhism and Jainism and they have defeated. We have multiple, all our acharyas, even Baldev Vidyabhushan takes that and many others take these things. But primarily, if you see Srila Prabhupada and many other acharyas, they have actually taken only Shankara's philosophy to clarify the points and to defeat so much of division, so much of attack in one sense on Mayavada philosophy. Why? Because Shankara had actually defeated all other philosophers, including Jainism, Buddhism, Charvakism, all kinds of things actually Shankara mentions that are current and prevalent at that time. So if we defeat Shankara alone, no need to talk about other things. That is their philosophy. Because Shankara has anyway refuted everything else. And we take defeat Shankara, that's good. It's called in Nyaya Pradhana Malla strategy. That means if you defeat the chief wrestler, you defeat all other people. In that sense, for us, the chief opponent is for the Gaudiya it is Shankara's philosophy of Mayavada. So our acharyas do that. But there are many books, both in English also by contemporary authors, comparing the Vedic thought versus various Abrahamic religions and new religions. Yeah, and I was also reading a PhD the other day of a person from Jaipur. One scholar has written, 500 years on the transformation of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, what all the different things happened. So we can learn from such things.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Correct.
Islam and the Vedas, somebody suggesting Sham Haridas by Rasmandal Prabhu. Yeah. History, philosophy of science. What is this? Okay. Paper on philosophy of science. Okay. That's Raj Prabhu. Yes, from Bhaktivedanta University. Any other questions, comments? We have a few more minutes. You may think that this course is one of the not so required. It's not like Bhagavatam, not so much of relishment and this thing. But as administrators and as um, as administrators as well as organizing groups, this course is very important because we will know how to deal with different people and get this thing. See, when we say when there was an attack on Juhu. What did Prabhupada say? Anyone? You are from Bombay. What did Prabhupada say when there was a problem in Juhu? He told to talk to one leader, Bal Thackeray, one Hindu leader,
Bal Thackeray.
to take his support. Yeah. So it's not, Prabhupada is very practical. And how sometimes I hear people saying that, oh, we don't belong to any religion, we are not from any group, and but we also have to be very practical. And ISKCON or Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not a separate sect or something like that. It is very much part of the overall ecosystem of Sanatana Dharma, our pramanas, our mantra, our culture, and this thing. So the statements when Prabhupada say that we are not a religious movement, we are not Hindus, or we are not this thing, you have to understand in the right context. As Prabhupada told, we are not a so-called religious movement, but we are true religious movement because the essence of Vedic knowledge is to re-establish the relationship with God. That we are doing through Nam Sankirtan in a simple but a systematic way. That is why he calls ours is a true religion. Sometimes he did call Hinduism and some sects in Hinduism as hodgepodge. Again, you have to understand it in the true context. He might sometimes even said that it is not authoritative. Yeah, that is that is in the sense that with respect to their pramanas, their arguments, and their this thing, and also based on the deviations and so on. At the same time, every religious system, we have only two religious systems according to Vedic knowledge, the Astika systems and Nastika systems. It's not that those who accept God and those who don't accept God. It's not based on that. But those who believe in Vedas, those who don't believe in Vedas. That is all. Every Astika system, is it authoritative? Yes, it is authoritative because it's coming from the Vedas. But is it authoritative in the sense that we can practice or we can take some points of philosophy contradictions? No. Okay, I think we'll close here. I'll give you 5 extra minutes unless anyone has any final question, comment.
See someone raise the hand, Prabhu. Ojaswini Radhika Mataji.
Some question is there. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your wonderful class. ISKCON is considered a sectarian movement. So do you have more information for helping us and other religions sectarian? See, we become sectarian or not, it depends on us. So if you go and say, I'm not a Hindu in India, or I'm not this thing, and I'm a separate, that's sectarian. We are connecting ultimately our parampara to trace back to Lord Brahma. Yeah. Our authority, our mantra, everything from the Vedas. So in that sense, we are part and parcel of the one Sanatana Dharma family, the same origin of the same Vedas are also Pramanas. Srila Prabhupada quoted n number of times Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita. These are the 3 major scriptures, Srila Prabhupada quoted. All this is part of Vedic literature. So the moment you say like, no, I am different, I am this, I'm not this, I'm not that, we become sectarian. It depends completely on us whether how we want to portray, how we want to understand. As I told, authority and authoritarian, these things we have to understand, not just a philosophical points that we have. For example, the position of a Jiva, or like, Jiva and God's relation. Somebody explains it differently. We cannot say they are not authoritative. They are also authoritative because everybody who is quoting from the Vedas are authoritative. But at the same time, if we want to be sectarian or not, it depends on us. We are part of one big family, and sometimes in the same family, in India, joint family, we see like, some of them follow different faith, not generally a ISKCON devotee are there. Like, they may adopt being a smarta, or they may adopt like, following a different other sect. So we should not call them like, different. So many consider in sectarian because sometimes without understanding others' point of view, we contradict. One person told me, I was going in a bus, he told that your ISKCON devotees, if they don't understand what other person is speaking, they're Mayavada. They call you are Mayavadi. If they don't understand what they are speaking, they say it's Achintya Veda Ved. So one has to be very, very careful in understanding other religions and their practices. And accordingly, we have to respond with respect. Otherwise, it will create chaos in the society. I understand this has been sectarian by the government. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I can see there is another question.
Where is that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, by Ojaswini Radhika Mataji. Mataji, if there will also be opportunity to ask next time. Up to you, but
Yeah, then we have like 1 minute. We can answer. What is the question?
okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your presentation. Well, my question is that all this work you did very nicely, and the purpose is to get knowledge from another religions, so we can also learn and expand more. So there is a lot of very wonderful things, very useful. So my question is there any plan to present this to, I don't know, GVC or GVs or different entities in our community that can be implement some of the good things that another religions do, that we can be more like better person, better Vaishnavas, like helping each other and then grow nicely like they are doing.
You're asking, is there any plan to present to GBC? You are all going to become future GBCs. So presenting to all of them will be, at some point of time in future, it will be presented to everyone. Of course, the vision of our previous Acharya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to actually bring all the Vaishnava Paramparas together, and share some common ground. And similarly, there were efforts, at least on some issue-based this thing, we can come that all the Sanatan Dharma followers together. Similarly, on a principle of Dharma, we can also be together with all the people in the world following religion, like, on the same ground. At the same time, with compassion for the even others who don't believe, like, we should also have a plan giving them Krishna consciousness by different means, book distribution and prasadam distribution and so on. So this is the highest point here that help everybody. And as predicted, we are in the golden age of spreading the Sankirtana movement. In future, and some point of time, the world map is going to be changed, like, in terms of the religious group that is ISKCON, and the Vaishnava philosophy will rule over the world. That is the prediction for next 10,000 years. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madhu Gopinath Prabhu, for taking the time and giving association. And we're waiting for the continuation of your class next week. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Haribol. Very good.
Hare Krishna.